Hi, thanks for joining me. It's Jackie from White Raven Creatives on the west coast of Canada. I thank you for joining me, and the reason for the video today is because I'm going to create a little accordion style booklet like I made before, and this one I'm going to do in the theme of Alice in Wonderland. So I've gathered papers and whatnot, and I'll get into that in a second. But basically, I had a couple of requests to do a show how it was made. When I made this little tag accordion booklet a couple weeks ago, it had a wintry, cozy, Christmassy type of feel. So I was asked to do another and show how it was made, so I'm happy to do that. And like I said, we're going to do it in the theme of Alice in Wonderland, because I think everybody can relate to that. It's bright and cheerful. So what I have done is, first of all, it's a matter of getting all of your stuff together so that when you start to create, you've got everything. And like, I never have enough. Whenever I think I have enough, I still don't. So start gathering up things that you want for background, the things that you want to embellish your pages. I'll go through these in a sec. And then all the other little things that you're going to need to embellish, like ribbons and laces and embroidery bits and bells and whatever, whatever will go with your style. So I've got lots here to start with. And as I find bits over the next few days as I'm creating this, because these things tend to have a life of their own, and they create. Anyway, so start gathering up your stuff and what you think you might need, and gather it, keep it handy in separate piles, and we will go through the steps together. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is, well, the second actually, after you've gathered everything, would be to find papers that you want for backgrounds. So with this one, you can see how it's all layered. So we need these background papers that we will layer up to create the foundation, and then we'll add the ephemera and the extra little bits like the laces and the ribbons and buttons and whatnot, bells, stars, little wooden bits. So the first thing that we need to do is start with our foundation pieces. So this other little booklet I made just out of paper, and I found it was a little bit flimsy, so I've gone with a heavier grade. This is about a 60 weight card, and the is going to be a little stronger than this, because for this one what I had to do is go back and reinforce all of the seams, all the where the pages were bent, and reinforce them, because with all the flipping and whatnot, you see here, that had to be, that's a little gauze that I put on that page and some extra papers. So I had to reinforce all of them so that they don't rip. So this time what I'm going to do is do it on this heavier card type of paper. So I'll go through and show you these. Now I don't know whether this video is going to be in a couple of parts, depending on if my camera cooperates or not, or whether I'm going to be able to do it in one go. So we'll see. So what we have here for our background papers, this is a digital kit. I believe it's from Dreamzetc, etc. But I'm really not sure. I know the ephemera pieces are, but these pieces I'm not sure. But I do believe it's her style. So, all right. So you need to get some pieces for your back foundation pages. like I say, on a little bit of a heavier cardstock. So I have printed some of them back to front. So there's going to be, I think I picked 8 or 9 patterns. So you can see that that one's the same as this one, but they have different other sides. So we will mix and match these as we're putting the booklet together. And see what goes good. Like that's kind of nice. And then, yeah, red is good too. So you'll see what I mean as we go. You'll get the idea of what we're talking about here. So okay, so let's figure out what we have to do next here, as far as fitting it to a cover. Okay, so what I mean by that is we're going to be using tags, Tim Holtz distress tags. 20 tags, number 8, heavy stock, mixed media. So you probably need 4 of these. You can use whatever you want, but basically you want something that's going to measure about 3 by 6 1/4, and you want it strong enough that it can be the cover of our little book for the front and the back. So if you've got cardstock or cereal boxes or file folder, whatever you want, if you don't have these, just these will come to later as far as decorating goes, but you do need them now to start attaching the paper. All right, so then what we need to do is, basically what we're trying to do is set up the foundation pages and attach them to the front and back covers in an accordion fashion. So that will mean that we need to take the papers, figure out what we want to join up to what we want. And what I'm saying about that is you're going to do a lot of ripping. So edges are all jagged. It adds, you can not do this if you don't want them jagged. You can cut and attach them that way, and have a more formal looking. But I'm going to do it this way. And so what I have to do is go through and rip down all of my pages, and tops and bottoms as well. And then we'll come back to putting them together. So let me do that, and then we'll continue on. So here's the difference, basically. We have these ones that are torn jagged, and these ones that are ripped with a ruler, with a straighter edge. A lot of them are going to get covered up, so or not, depending on what you what you like. But just think about whether you want to have something more raggedy, shaggy, rusticy, or more in line, more straight when you're attaching the pages. So what we're going to do is attach all of these pages to each other in a long format once we've got everything ripped down. So I'm going to go and rip the rest of these pages, and I'll come back when I show you how I rip the tops. Okay, so one thing before we rip the tops is you can have a look at the papers that I've got. I'm going through them and deciding how I might want to put them together, because I don't really want to have a red with a red, although I could, but like I say, you can do whatever you want, in particularly with this kind of book. But I'm going to go through and just, like there's red and red, that looks good. So I'm just going through and going and figuring out what I've got here for blues and reds, red, colored, and then this, there's the same backs, but different fronts, and then red, 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 and a blue, blue. So, it all just is going to matter when you start putting the pages together, and then they're all decorated too, so you might want to put some thought to it. But with this book, the best thing to do is just don't let anything, don't overthink any of it. Just let it flow. Just let it go on its own. So I'm going to carry on, and this is how I'm going to rip the top and the bottom. This is cardstock, so it's definitely a little trickier to rip. About 60 pound weight. So go through and rip your pages, and you're going to re-rip these once you start putting it together, because you're going to want to see more of the, like, you don't want them all to be just a square like this. You're going to want some bigger dips and valleys and mountain type thing. So to start with, we're just going to go and rip all the pages into pretty much a square shape, and then we're going to edge them, ink edge them, and whether I'm going to use brown or a different color, I haven't quite decided. So when I've got that all done, I will show you where we're at. Now you're going to need a garbage can, because there's a lot of ripping and tearing going on here. And if you like, you might want to save the little bits that you've torn off. I think that came over here. Save the little bits, because you might want to use those, add those as little embellishment pieces when we get going. So this is basically how I'm tearing. I'm just letting it go, and ripping down, like I said, not putting a lot of thought to getting it straight, or, I mean, the wigglier and the more jagged, the better, so that when these pages line up, you're going to see the different layers. So I'm going to end up ripping these more as I put it together, so I'm not going to ink yet. So let me just organize my pages, and we'll move on to how you glue it all together to get the accordion. Okay, sorry about that. So now that everything is ripped down, we are going to use this as the cover, but as you can see, it's bigger. The papers are bigger than the cards that were tags that we're using for covers. So that allows us to do a lot more ripping on the top and the bottom. So what we're going to do, decide what page we want first. So we're going to attach this, we're going to fold it, and we're going to fold it back on that side. So decide which one you want for your first page that's going to show. Like on this one, our first page here is showing this pink as it's folded that way, and it's on that side, so it's that's really your important page, and then at the back. But you can always add some of these bits and pieces that you've torn off if you don't like what you ended up with. So just start now by taking this and figuring out which one you want first. And I think I'm going to go with this one. Kind of like this. So I'm going to go with this. So what I'm going to do now is, this is going to be glued onto here. I have an edge here that I like, but I'm going to rip this one more. And these are the pieces you really want to save, because they have no edging. If your printer didn't print full page, you had that little white rim around the edge. So these pieces that I'm tearing off now are better for saving. So this page is going to attach to here, and then the next page, let me get these guys out of our way here. So let me see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pages, 7 pages. So that's a lot. I don't know if I'll actually use those all, but let's get started and just see where we go. Okay, so that's going to go onto there. That's going to be glued onto there. And then this next page is going to be glued onto here. And the only real trick there is that you want to make sure that your tops and bottoms match. So when we rip this, we want to rip it to the same as that. Doesn't matter that it's hanging down, depending on how long you want it to hang. I don't want that to hang that much. So I'm going to rip that off. So, and then just decide if you've got ups and downs, directional paper, keep that in mind. So that will go like that. And then I'll take my next piece and I'm going to overlap them with the first page onto the second page rather than the second to the first. It doesn't matter much. Basically go with whatever pattern you like because it's a junk journal. All right, so next thing what we need to do is edge. Once we have the pieces ripped to the size that we want, the only inking that we really need to do is on these edges, because we don't want, I mean, I don't even mind this whitish color because I didn't really show you what I was using for the ephemera bits. Let me just get to that. So what I've decided I'm going to use for the embellishments and tags are this kit. And I believe this is Dreams, etc. So a lot of these I'm going to just end up ripping and tearing pieces of these off. So this is on a thinner paper. This is on basically a 28 pound. So a little bit better than just copy paper, but not a lot because we don't need it because we got this very strong foundation paper. So these are what I'm going to be putting on, and a lot of it is going to be rough fussy cut. I'm not a real good fussy cutter, and I'm not really too worried about how I'm going to cut that up, because I'm just going to do a little bit of ripping and tearing as well for that, rather than really fussy cutting. Some of it will be a little fussier than others, but mostly you do you, as our friend says. You do you. Whatever works. And you will see once we've gone through all of this and we know what we're actually talking about here. Oh, we've got another page here. I'm going to use that as a spare for decorations, I think. All right, so the only thing, like I say, that you need to really worry about at this point is getting this onto here, getting these edges done. So decide whether you want to ink your edges or not. I'm not going to on this one because I want to try and get through this and get this video up. So I'm not going to, and I really don't mind the cream color paper that I have, or manila I think it is called. So I'm not going to bother doing the edges on this booklet, and maybe the next one I will decide that I needed to do it. On this other little booklet I made, I did do all the edges, but that was then, and this is now. So what we're going to do next is find some glue. I'm just using Aleene's tacky glue. That's what I used on the other book. It seemed to work pretty well, and I have a fair amount of this, and it's cheap. So maybe for your first book, go with this. Once you've worked up the kinks and you want to use your fancier glues, you can do that on your next book. But you're going to love this one. When it's finished, like I say, they just have a mind of their own. So what we're doing next is we're just going to add some glue. So I've added glue onto here. I've gone to about an inch or so. Whoopsie. But I'm going to be putting this on here. Let me wipe that up. Onto this tag. All right, so I'm going to put this on here like this, about that far over. There's the bottom, there's the top. Oops, now I got to make sure I'm on screen again, because I want to be close enough so you can actually see what I'm doing, but I don't want to get myself out of, so I'm trying to stay on this pad. So anyway, simple enough, put that on. Then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to flip your card over, and you're going to go to this side, and I would say give yourself about, let's see, let's actually measure that so we really can tell. It's about just over 1/4 of an inch, not quite a half. You don't want it to stick out too far, but you want to be able to see it. All right. So then we have this sticking out on this side. So now what we want to do is we're going to match up here with another one of our papers, and we're going to glue that on, and we're going to make sure the edges are matching at the top and at the bottom with the page that comes prior. So let me get that kind of thing organized as for all of the pages, and then I'll show you another gluing, and then we'll have the foundation pages in place. So just so you know, what I'm doing here is taking the back of this, our first page that was attached, and putting a little bit of glue, if the glue will cooperate, and just putting enough on there. You can always come back and add more glue once we've got the pages in place. So first thing I'm going to do is stick that onto there, and I'm doing about that much, but I'm going over about an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, not down here, but, and just pressing that on like that. So then what I need to do is rip this page and then add my next page. So I'm going to carry on and do that, and then I'll come back and show you what I've got. So when you're putting these pages together, you're going to just think about the papers that you've got. Now, do you want that in that format, or do you want it that format? I probably wouldn't put another blue here, although I could. I'm thinking that I'm going to prefer a red. Now, I don't want that red because I have it here. I want to save that for later. But I do have this red that I like, and I have this red. So I'm going to attach that and just carry on. Ooh, it's getting large here, whether you're seeing it all. So I'm going to carry on and put all of these on here, and then I'll show you what I got. Now, the only thing to watch for is if you do have a directional paper, like this one, make sure that you've got your bottom of your tag, and this is the bottom of your paper. So always check the backs before you actually glue, because if I had this upside down, we're going to have a problem when we get to the other side. So just keep an eye out for that. See, I could actually put that there, but I'm going to go with, I'm actually going to go with that. All right, so I'm going to, like I say, get these glued together, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have all of these pages glued together, and I've pretty much gone red, blue, red, blue kind of idea, but keeping that in mind. And now, because they're double-sided, so if you bought a paper pack, it's double-sided, and this is what the back is going to look like. There really isn't a back. There's a side 1, side 2. So that's what we got here. All right. So now what we're going to do is start folding. This is long. You need a bit of room. So what we're going to do is come back to this side, and we're going to fold here about the same ½ inch, 3/4 or 1/4 inch on that side. So we're going to bend that and fold that Just enough so that it's going to, and you want to make sure you've got a nice edge on that. I'm going to go just a little fatter on that side. Just a little. Okay, so you don't need to worry about a bone folder or pressing it down really tight, but crease it. So that's going to be that and that. Then what we're going to do is continue on and fold all of these. If you get a little piece like this that needs a little more glue, you can add it now. All right, so what we're doing next is we're taking this and we're just going to fold and fold and fold and fold. So this one we're going to take and fold. All right, so it's like that now. I'm going to fold this one and line it up. Okay, so the important thing to do is making sure that you've got a pretty straight line and that your edges are pretty well lined up. Doesn't matter if it's overlapped a titch like that, adds to it. All right, so then this one is going to fold back onto this side. So it's a matter of just flipping your papers and lining up your edges at this point. Like that. All right, so that's beginning to accordion. So I'm not worried about something like the fact that this one got really close to the edge. It doesn't matter. All right, so then we go this way. Line it up and squish it down. Get that out of here and then go on to this side. Hope this is making sense. So it's pretty simple. So we're just going to put that down there. This one we're going to push to this side. And I just fold it over and then kind of push it in and look at all where I'm doing here and making sure that I'm going to get that pretty straight. Doesn't take long for this to go off. See what I mean? Like right there. It's starting to build out a little bit and kind of wanting to bring that over just a titch so it stays stacked. So just watch that. And then this one, same dealio. I'll line it up and then push it over just a bit so that when you press down, that edge is going to come out nice and straight, or pretty straight. And then this one, when you get to the end, you can reverse it and do it from the back. And just lining up those edges. And the last one, you want to go to there, making sure that that's gonna just line up. It's certainly different doing it with paper than with card, and card is much more difficult to manipulate, I'm finding. Okay, so here's what we're ending up with, and we've got a little longer piece there, and that's okay because when we're going to put our next cover back on, the back cover, we're going to fold this to there. And we're going to glue that to that. So the only thing you have to watch here is that you've got it lined up. You got your tag, front tag, and your back tag lined up. All right. So that's how you're doing it. So the other thing I like about this glue is that you have a minute or two to wiggle, adjust as you need. So I'm going to go almost to the edge, but not quite, because that side is sticking out as well. You don't want the card right over to the edge. You want it centered, like I said, with your other tag. That's your front. And you press it on. All right. So here's what we've ended up with so far. We've done the foundation. There's a front cover, flips. See all the layers that we've got here? And if we need to add more or take some away, we can do that. So there's your next page, your next page, your next page. And you see how these are, on this side, we haven't got anything. We've only got it going this way. And we want to be able to have some variation when we're looking back as well, if we can. So we're going to rip this page down, just like that. And that's going to give me a couple of layers there. I don't really want any sharp, rich rips like that. I'm going to try and just kind of even that out a bit. So most of my pages are about the same height, but there is a good variety so that you can see. And as we go through, I mean, if you're going to have it high here, you can't have it, it's got to be high on this side too, so you can't have both. Just decide whether you want that to show or that to show, right? So do I want that to show, or do I want to rip that down so I've got more of that? I'm thinking I've got enough red, so I'm going to just tear this one down. So you will see how you like it when you get going. So that adds more layers. Now you don't want to rip off too much because we're going to have to put the embellishments on, and they need some room here on the foundation page. So don't rip too far down, but make it jiggly, make it wiggly. So like here, I'm going to just take a little bit more off of this, just to be able to see that. And then here we go, we're way up here, so I'm thinking maybe we'll just take some of that off right there. Okay, now like I said, you got to watch what you're joining up to here. And you don't want to rip off too much. But so I can see. And then this page gets to the back, and then I look at that and I go, well, that needs a little bit more of something. I like to be able to see more of what's going on here, so I'm going to come back in here, and I'm not going to rip this because I just added that there, but I'm going to rip down here a little bit more, just a bit. Okay, now stuff like this, I'm going to cover that up with the embellishments anyway, so that's not a big deal, but you want to make sure you have enough glued onto the fronts and backs so that it is fairly stable. Now you can see the bottom, it has done that as well. There's our top, which we see more of it as we go through. I'm kind of thinking that something needs to happen here. This is a little bit plain, so I'm going to take some of this. So just like I said, you started out with a 6 by 6 page, and you're ending up with a something quite different. But there we go. So there's what we're ending up with. A lot of variation in the front and back. So I went through this side. I'll just show you again, keeping in mind. Now you're starting to see the layers as well. Now there, like I said, we can have to decide, do we want that way up there? Do we want it lower? And I'm just gonna take a bit of that off. And I'm going to take a bit more off of here because I want to see more of that layering as I went through there. So, yeah, rip and tear. So there's our layering. There's our pages attached on this side. And when we get to this side, we turn it over this way. And you'll still have the layering at the tops and the bottoms. That's basically now, if you want to reinforce those a little bit with your, you need a hard crease, but that's nice, isn't it? Pretty. Okay, so these all match up. Now that's part of the reason why you wanted to make sure that these are all pretty much lined up, because when you're opening this book, those are laying against each other. So there we go, all the way through to this side. And there's your foundation. So you can decide, there's no front and there's no back. So but you can decide what side you want to start working on first when you're adding your embellishment pieces. And the first embellishment pieces are just going to be these papers. Whatever you're thinking you might like to add, you know, you get those ready, fussy cut or rip and tear. So you're going to tear, like for example, I'm going to tear out this little fella here. And like I say, I'm not going to be too fussy about what I'm doing. I'm going to do a better job than that, but basically just to show you, I'm going to get this guy kind of torn down here. If you want a fussy cut, you go ahead. But this guy's going to go on here. Maybe. I might do something else for the front, but so what you want to do is get all your pieces that are your next layers. These are basically your pockets. So you want to start putting those on and gluing them, and keeping in mind that you might want a pocket here. You might want to, right? I wouldn't suggest having a pocket going in from this side. It's a little harder to get your tags in and out. So do your pockets from the outside or the top, right? So go through, get your little bits and pieces together that you're going to want. So something like this, let's say I want the cat bit, but I don't want the top of this. I might keep that for something else. But right now, all I want is that, right? So I've done these in like I say, on a lighter weight paper, but because they're pockets, they could have been on a heavier, and it might have been a bit better. We learn as we go. So what I'm going to do is start putting these pieces down, gluing them all into here, figuring out if I've got pockets or tags or tag, you know, what I'm going to do, where I'm going to put it. And start laying those in. Now you want to pretty much stay within the confines of your pages here. You don't want to be going up here, down here. Just remembering where your creases are, and don't go over that line. Stay in the page of the book. Now what might be easier for you is, instead of trying to do it page by page by page like this, you might want to stretch out your pages like so, and start decorating them laid out. I think that's better, because then you get an idea of what you've put on that page, and you just, you can spread your stuff out a little bit and have your layouts just, you know, you can see what you've laid down when you do it this way. And then when that's done, you turn it over and do this side. All right, so I'm going to get doing that, and then I will probably make this the end of this video, and then we'll have another part here, because this is already quite lengthy. Thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next part, where we will continue with the embellishments and putting little pockets and things into the pockets, and then adding the ribbons and the other bits of ephemera and things that you have, like, I don't know, bells and clips, and like I have, you know, things like this, if I want to put those kind of things on. You find what goes with the theme of your book. You might want paper clips, you might want bling, you might want some bling bling, blingity bling, like that. You might just want, you know, beads. You might want more lace. So gather that stuff up and get your little pockets in. And all sizes, make them all sizes. Not just all little ones at the bottom, but all kinds of big ones and little ones, and some for tops and some for side tucks. But just remember, if you're going to put something going in that way, you want it to come in from the outside. So where the fold is, an outie fold, a mountain fold, not an innie fold. It's hard to get stuff out, right? Okay, so I'll see you back when we get more of that together. Thanks again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in the next part. Take care of yourself.